So do we have everyone? I can't see everyone on the thing here, but do we have enough people today, Andrew?
We do have a quorum. We have 5.
Thanks, Laura.
Thank you, Laura. All right. Well, it's about 1 o'clock. If we've got all the board members that are going to be with us today, we might as well get started. And we have a call to order. And I'm recognizing that all of our board members are present with the exception of our chair and our vice chair who are on leave today. And that's Anthea and LaDonna. It looks like we got some first order of business, which is the introduction of Andrew there. And do you have any updates for us from the division today?
Thanks, Sam. Appreciate that. The big update for today is that our division of housing staff have been working hard over the last 7 weeks on our contracting and process improvement period and initiatives, and look forward to rolling out process improvement recommendations to stakeholders and the public for feedback, and then to present to the State Housing Board probably in the month to come. It's been very productive. The time away from incoming applications has really allowed staff to dig in to some of our processes and make good back-end improvements that the everyday user may not see, but will make us more efficient, able to work harder or smarter, not harder, as well as really dig into the numbers in terms of some upcoming policy change recommendations. So very grateful to have had this time for us to work on these internal process improvements. So very excited about being able to roll these out in the month or two to come. So that's kind of the big thing. We're coming to an end of that. Look forward to digging back into applications starting November 1st.
Well, very good. Well, I'm sure a lot of the applicants will be appreciative of your work.
Yep. Thank you. And everybody's.
Yep. Good. Thanks for that. Any other news?
Not from my front, with the exception of this meeting being a little bit special and appreciative of you all being able to accommodate Sam Albrecht in our Office of Regulatory Oversight for an emergency rule adoption. And then also kind of our first Senate Bill 22-159 inspired DOH direct loan application that Andrew actually will be presenting following this. So kind of a couple of firsts and a bit of a unique meeting today. So look forward to it.
Sounds great. In addition to the first of me chairing the meeting. So again, I'll try to make sure that I don't screw the whole thing up here. Sam, I think the floor is yours. Let's hear about the emergency rule and why we need it so badly.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you, State Housing Board, for hearing this today. As you know, I came before you on May 9th, where we approved a very comprehensive set of administrative rules for the Factory Built Structure program in the state of Colorado. And that was a result of a lot of work with a lot of different stakeholders. We had a public hearing at that point in time, and we heard testimony. Today's presentation is a little shorter and a little different. We have found the need for an emergency rule to that set of administrative rules, which we adopted on May 9th and went into effect on 7/1. And that emergency rule will allow us a little more flexibility to help factory built structures and local jurisdictions when there's an emergency situation. And the emergency can only be called up, or our role can only be called up, when a local or state or the state has declared a state of emergency, an official state of emergency, and has asked for our help in writing. And that's the situation we are in here today. We have a local jurisdiction that has instituted a local state of emergency. and has asked for us in writing to help provide some factory-built structures in order to provide homeless shelters in a type of a zone or a type of a building structure type that we don't recognize in our codes. So we're going to lean on their codes, and we've been going back and forth with those guys almost daily in order to accommodate this. So that's where we are. We want to approve that rule. If this rule will only be effective for 120 days. In conjunction with that emergency rule, we will also be starting a permanent rulemaking to make this permanent. We think this will give the state more flexibility in providing emergency shelters for people in emergency situations when there's a need for it. And so we do want to make this a permanent rule. This is just not a one-time deal. But that process takes quite a bit of time, almost 6 months to go through with all the official stakeholder input. I have had some informal discussions with the attorney for the building codes and standards. He believes this will pass muster, but the way this works is if you guys approve the emergency rule today, we send it to the Attorney General's office for review, and in about 20 days, it will become effective on the date that we approve it today. So we're going to be moving forward with that date in mind in order to make this project work. So I'd like to read the rule to you now that I've given you that background, and I have staff standing by if there's more technical information on these rules that you may have. But let me read this just for the record. This is the administrative rules regarding the non-residential and residential factory-built structures and tiny homes, sellers of manufactured homes and tiny homes, manufactured home, tiny home, and multifamily structure installations, foundation systems for manufactured homes, tiny homes, and factory-built structures where no standards exist, and hotels, motels, and multifamily structures in those areas of the state where no standards exist. It is 8 CCR 1302-14, and we're looking at emergency rule 215.3. In your packet, I gave you not only a memo kind of outlining what I just said, but also the emergency rule, also the approved rules right before that, 215, 215.1, 215.2, and this proposed rule 2.1513 for context. I also gave you the definition for the RX structure, and I also gave you Denver's emergency declaration, which has been extended very recently until November 13th. Technically, I think once we have a state of emergency declared, we can take the date of the issuance of that, but they have continued that rule and they continue to work on that project as an emergency daily. Emergency rule 2.15.3. In the event that a local jurisdiction or the state has declared a state of emergency, the Division of Housing may, upon written request from the local jurisdiction, allow an alternative method of design for the construction of the unit to comply with local provision as adopted by the local jurisdiction. This modification would allow a less stringent design by a local jurisdiction that has site-specific information to allow such construction and is approved to that specific jurisdiction. The modification should not require a more stringent requirement than what is already approved by the DOH. An approved DOH insignia will be adhered to the structure at final approval. So they will have a stamp. It will be built to a local Denver building code. In this situation and in any future situations, we will take in unique aspects of what they want to do and where they want to do it. And we will write that on that insignia. That insignia is important because these units cannot be picked up and moved to another local jurisdiction unless they meet that local jurisdiction's requirements. And so that's what I'm here to present today, and I would be happy to take any questions.
Thank you, Sam. Do we have any questions from the board? Jay Ryan.
Thank you, Mr. Sam Betters and Mr. Sam Albrecht, Sam and Sam. No, thank you, gentlemen. So having quickly reviewed the read ahead for this particular issue, to me, it reads as from the perspective that requirements in terms of homelessness will exceed capacities or capabilities, which would in turn facilitate a declaration of emergency. So if that is the correct interpretation, my question then also kind of ties into more of a FEMA, since more of a FEMA perspective, since this is, Denver's the regional headquarters, I think, for Region 7 of the Federal Emergency Management Agency. So are there any other stipulations in terms of what would constitute as a declaration of emergency where this rule would kick in from a FEMA perspective that's in addition to the homelessness crisis that's identified? Thank you.
So, Mr. Moses, excellent question. So, as a county manager, I was very involved in declaring states of emergency. And to get FEMA, you've got to go up from the local level to the state, and the state has to ask for federal assistance, right? And that's what opens up that federal money. And I don't believe that is what is occurring here in this situation. Denver has declared a local emergency and is attacking it on several fronts, including pallet shelters, which don't go through our program. These units, which we're talking about today, and I believe there's 295 of those that they wish to do. They're also buying and leasing rooms in hotels and motels in order to get to their 1,000 number. So this is one component of that. I do not believe that this local emergency would be eligible for any federal money or any of those federal FEMA trailers to come and house the homeless.
So a piggyback follow-on question there, and thanks for the delineation there from a continuum of federalism, and having been a Delta 7 Alpha defense support to civilian authorities myself in my former practitioner career, as well as a guy who teaches some of this stuff too. And so that's why I open it up, because looking at it from the lens of the local municipality, Denver, and then, as you know, Title 32 is the states under the United States Federal Code, Title 10 being the Department of Defense. And so do you envision a situation where this could quite possibly cover more than just homelessness? Because this just seems to be very specified, as opposed to, say, hailstorms or, so on and so forth. So from a mutual causality or multiple, derivative permutations of an event where homelessness is, say, a byproduct of, or actually homelessness increases levels, natural disasters increases levels of homelessness, so that your requirements will far exceed the capabilities that you've already got. Now I understand that this is going to be this is like a 5-meter target. You guys need this approved now. So I'm really talking in terms of 10, 15, 20, 30, 50-meter targets down the line as something that, you may want to consider as well, just in addition to the homelessness that you're addressing just for Denver itself.
Mr. Moses, you're exactly right, and you sounds like you're more of an expert on the federal side than I am. So yes, we envision this to be able to use for a fire situation where there may be units sitting already. If Denver has units they're not using, they could go straight to the location of that fire if the local jurisdiction asked, or we could make new units if a factory has any factory built manufacturer that has a capability to stop production and turn these out. These building plans will approve for a year, but then we can take a look at those very easily. We've given Denver a handshake that we will make this a top priority to meet their timeline. I've told them we're not going to be the long pole in the tent, assuming that we can get this emergency rule approved. But yes, floods, fires,
Yep.
We had a flood in the town of Elbert, and we were very concerned that one more rainstorm and we would be looking at a homeless situation. We just had washed out bridges and flooded fields, but it was getting very close to some shelters. We've had wildfires in the Black Forest, the northern part of the Black Forest, where that fire was racing toward a subdivision. And I'm sitting in the emergency operations center thinking, what the heck are we going to do? We can only put them in the fairgrounds for so long.
Yep.
How can we do that? And would it qualify for a state level emergency and get FEMA trailers? Here we have it's just another tool in the toolbox to meet that emergency shelter concept. Now, each of these in this particular case, each of these sleeping shelters is going into an area where we'll have a community building also. It will have a community bathroom, a community shower, a community kitchen, and a community meeting room. These are just sleeping shelters only as we look at them.
Well, sir, real quick, I've got a great level of appreciation for what you just said when you reference the Black Forest fires. I currently sit in my home that I've owned for 12 years here at the top of Flying W Ranch in the Waldo Canyon. And so that's another lens that I'm leveraging here. And you just hit that right out of the park there, because even in this,
used it too. Yep, absolutely.
Yeah. In this area, trafficability has not improved in terms of avenues, escape avenues, if you will, or even avenues of approach from the northwest side of town here of Flying W Ranch in the Waldo Canyon. So I appreciate that, because as you know, we don't know when another natural disaster could occur. And so I look at your line of effort here as a practical way of not just providing homelessness for obviously that concentrated population, but something that can extemporaneously come out of the woodwork like it did 12 years ago down here and anywhere else in the state. So thank you for your time and consideration today.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Nancy, I believe you have a question.
Thank you. Yes, and thank you for that discussion. I apologize. I cannot get my camera to work. I'm going to have to, after this meeting, I'm going to have to play with settings and things. I just don't know. Anyway, my question is, this sounds like something, even given this discussion we just had, something that's really needed. And I'm wondering if there's a further step, because this is called an emergency document, if there's something that we need to put in code or take to the legislature or do something so that perhaps it's only invoked during emergencies, but doesn't require some kind of emergency decision by the housing board, but can be triggered a little more easily.
Ms. Jackson, we thought the same thing, and that's why we're going to ask for the emergency rule today. It's going to be good for 120 days, and about 5 days before that expires, I'm going to bring you guys a permanent rule that went through the entire process that we did with those big administrative rules we brought to you back in May. We're going to have stakeholder input. We're going to have a technical advisory committee meetings on it. And then we might swap a little language around, but yes, you hit the nail on the head. We want to make this a permanent rule, and I'm going to start that process tomorrow.
Okay, thank you. And if I could have a follow-up, I like the Sam and Sam thing here. Maybe I'm going to change my name to Sam. At any rate,
You can never have enough Sams.
that's right. Sam I am. Very famous. I'm wondering about, let's just use a month as a time frame. How many times a month do you anticipate, not with a fire, not with a flood, which I see is, unfortunately going to be probably utilized quite a bit, but just in I don't know, daily use, if you will, how many times do you think this would be invoked in a month, let's just say?
Ms. Jackson, I don't know. I mean, I know nationwide homelessness is a problem. I know that I've talked to the town of Aurora, They already have some of those pallet shelter units,
Mhm.
sleeping shelters, and they're talking about buying more. And I know that a lot of the cities have this. I just don't know. I can't put a number on it. What I do see is the possibility of the factory built structure community embracing this and building and planning for building units in their downtime, if they have production downtimes, if they can find a storage area for them. And where we have the capacity in our current building codes, we're on the 2018 International Building Codes, for them to make emergency shelters. I think we got kind of caught up in this particular one because Denver wanted them built to their local jurisdiction. They have some extenuating circumstances in where they're going to be placing these things, and we couldn't use our International Building Code residential and non-residential classifications. And so this was a stopgap measure to do that. But I would hope that statewide, we didn't have to use them for homeless, but they will be ready to use if needed. I can't answer, and that's me dancing around your question a little bit,
It's
but
okay.
I don't know how many times a month we're going to use this emergency rule. I would hope very infrequently.
Okay, well, it would be interesting if, I'm sure you'll start keeping data just to find out.
Yep.
Okay, well, thank you. I think it's something we're gonna have to do. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Any other questions from the board? Sam, I had a question. Does this at all relate, and correct me if I get this reference a bit wrong, but I believe I heard on the news that the city and county of Denver is having some internal discussions about the types of units that they want to use for homelessness right now. The mayor has decided that there was perhaps a more efficient way of developing some sites with these pallet homes, maybe beefing up the structure so that it's more fireproof, and allowing them to more densely accommodate these units on a site. Is this related to that at all?
Sam, this is part of that project to house 1,000 homeless people experiencing homelessness. It is a solution. It is a unique solution, but it is only part of the solution. Part of it is pallet shelters. Part of it are these units. There was also a news report that they're leasing out the DoubleTree up off Quebec.
Right.
And I think that was 300 rooms. That might be a little more accommodating to couples and families. So there is a lot in the news lately. The mayor has stepped out from what most folks would consider a normal comfort zone, and people have questions, and I think him and his team are working hard to come up with solutions. So it is part of that Denver homelessness initiative from the mayor.
Thanks. And kind of maybe a follow-up question. Is it my understanding that there are some jurisdictions, unincorporated areas, that may not have local codes?
Yes, there are about 16 counties, I think, that still have no building codes. They do have, though, county commissioners that can declare a state of emergency. So we could use this in those areas, and we could help them design a solution if it was one of those counties that did not have a local building department or any approved building codes.
So in that instance, then, would the state's codes apply since the local jurisdiction doesn't have codes, or would the local jurisdiction have to approve some sort of code requirements?
We could use the state building codes, and we would take a look at any local conditions like local wind or snow loads. We could take a look at how Denver is citing these and looking at the spacing and see if we could modify the codes in order to meet those unique local situations. So it may not be the blanket 2018 codes is which we're on now. It might be a modified one, but again, that jurisdiction will have to declare an emergency and ask us in writing, and we would work with them on that.
Okay. And one more question. I'm sorry to kind of belay this a bit, but is there any kind of instance that you could imagine where you would believe, or the state would believe, that maybe the health and safety issues would trump this emergency declaration?
I do not see any. We have been in meeting with Denver staff, and their fire marshal and their attorney general are in support of this. And we have talked to their building departments and numerous emails about fire ratings, fire safety, and tying these units down to make sure that they are safe. And so I do not foresee that we would allow that either on a state level or a local level without complete coordination.
Okay, great. Thank you so much.
Yes, sir.
Any other questions before we take a vote? Okay, I'm going to ask for a roll call vote. We don't normally do this, but I think in this case it's necessary. And so we'll go down the list here and ask for a yay or a nay. And I'll start with you, Candace.
I vote yes in favor of the emergency rule.
Thank you so much. Jay Ryan.
I vote yes in favor of the emergency rule. Thanks.
James.
I vote yes on the emergency rule.
And Monique, are you in the audience? I didn't.
I am. I vote yes on the emergency rule.
Thank you so much. And Nancy Jackson.
Yes.
And I will vote yes as well. And so with that, it looks like the emergency rule has passed. By my count, it looks like it passed 6-0, and with nobody abstaining to this request. Is there anything else from you, Sam, that we need, or Andrew?
No, just my sincere thanks, and I will see you guys again in February to bring this back as a permanent rule.
Thank you so much, Sam. Appreciate it. All right. I think we're ready to get on with the regular part of our agenda. Andrew, unless you see something else that I missed.
Nope. Thank you, Sam. Andrew Atchley is here to introduce the Carbonate Street application.
Great. Thank you. Andrew?
Thanks very much. Yeah, so to introduce the Carbonate Street Transformational Loan Fund application that we've got, I think Joseph Teipel from BV was not able to make it, but we do have Scott Simmons on the line. So Scott, take it away.
Great. Thank you, Andrew. And it's a pleasure to be here in front of you today. We've been working on this Carbonate Street Apartments for a while, and it's an exciting project for Fading West. Bringing 60 income qualified units and a future childcare center to our home market of Buena Vista is so important to preserving and really retaining a workforce that is struggling to find housing and struggling to find childcare. So, we're so thrilled to be working in partnership with the Chaffee Housing Authority. They've been such a great partner as we've developed this project, helping us through the process of what it would look like for income verification, and they will be our partner for the tenant income verification services that are needed for this project. As you all know, attainable housing, especially right now, is extremely difficult, and it takes so many partners and like-minded people to achieve a successful project. And so I just can't go on without saying how grateful we are for the partnership that we've had with the town. They had the vision for this project over 5 years ago, and they've been supporting us through a public engagement entitlements over the last 2 years. And this would not be a reality without their vision and their partnership. I think it's really been a good model of what a healthy partnership with the organization, a private organization, and a municipality working towards a common goal can achieve. In addition to the partnership with the town, we've had so many other partnerships with other people and individuals, like the Division of Local Governments. We received an innovative housing incentives grant, and that's really helping us hit our affordability goals. We have commitments for the TAG grant, the MEAP program, and we found a lot of several equity partners that are impact investors that are coming alongside and partnering with us to make this project a reality. We're really excited. This project is moving forward, and we're hoping to start production in our factory in November. So it's coming up pretty quick. So these loan funds are critical, and they're critical to rounding out our full capital stack. And so we really appreciate you considering this project, and we would value your support for the Carbonate Street Apartments project.
Thank you, Scott. Questions from the board? I have a few questions. I noticed, Scott, in the write-up that the loans that you got for the project from, I believe, from Jeff and some others have a 7-year or 8-year term. What happens at the end of that period of time?
Yeah, good question. I mean, after that, I mean, our current model is holding this project for 10 years. We expect to recapitalize with more permanent financing once we stabilize the project. And we would have to work with our equity partners to understand, how we all stay involved. But the deed restrictions are for 30 years, and we know that those are going to be continued regardless of the ownership structure. But for that 7-year window, we expect to refinance into more permanent financing after that 7-year window.
Is there any consideration to condominiumizing them after the 7 years?
No.
Okay.
Not at all.
The project doesn't receive any tax credits, as I noticed. It's eligible for tax credits. What sort of income verification and eligibility requirements are created for projects like this?
Good question. Yeah, we're working with the Housing Authority. Like I said, the Housing Authority has developed what they're calling community guidelines, which will be what we use to qualify a tenant. So not only will they, they'll have to meet the income qualifications for the unit itself, but they'll also go through the Housing Authority's community guidelines for prioritizing individual tenants through their matrix of prioritization. So the Housing Authority will definitely have the say in the need, and they'll make sure that they qualify from an income perspective.
Okay, thanks. I noticed in the pro forma that the debt service starts off fairly low, under 1.2 and under 1.5, I believe.
Yeah.
And in year 8 or year 7, it jumps up to over 8. Can you explain that a little bit? Is that because the debt goes away entirely and you don't really know what debt to apply?
I would have to dig into that number specifically. You said it goes up to what? It goes up to 8 after
8 point change. And
I can jump in there. That's just a product of our spreadsheet.
Yeah.
You put in the 7-year term, no debt service shows up after year 7. So, assuming that they recapitalize or, refinance some debt, there would be some, whatever the debt service is after that. So just a symptom of our spreadsheet.
Okay. Andrew or Scott, any concerns about interest rate risk after this 7-year term?
I don't think so. I think we're trying to approach this project with some conservative estimates, and we feel confident that we can service the debt and that we're we're not assuming an aggressive change in interest rates moving forward. And yeah, we feel comfortable with what the project's assuming at this point.
What's the build out timeframes for the 60 units? Can you tell us that?
Yeah, so the project will go on the factory line sometime in November. It'll take about 2 months to build in the factory. And then we will break ground sometime in January, February, to start putting in foundations and getting the site prepared for the units to be set. We anticipate the units to be set sometime in the spring, and then finished out over the summer. And our goal is to have start pre-leasing those units over the summer, and then have tenants occupy those units come the end of July, beginning of August timeframe.
Okay. And do you intend to build all 60 units within the next year?
We do. We will build them all at the same time. Yes.
Okay. Great. Any questions from the board? All right. Thank you so much for your presentation, Scott and Andrew.
Yes. Thank you.
I see no further applications being presented today, so I think we're ready for a vote. We only have one project here to vote for today, so my task as chair is very easy today. So do we have a motion to approve this project?
Yes, you do, Mr. Chairman. I make that motion to approve this project.
Thank you, Candace. Do we have a second?
I second that motion, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you so much, Jay Ryan. All in favor?
Aye.
I,
Any opposed? All right, I think that does it for us today. Congratulations, Scott, and good
Thank
luck.
you. We appreciate it.
And thank you all for your attendance today, and I think we're about ready to adjourn.
Thank
Great
you,
job,
everyone.
Mr.
Thanks a
Chairman.
lot. Yes,
Thank
great
you.
job, Mr.
Bye-bye.
Chairman.
I
Stay
think
safe,
you can
everybody.
wait for your check to come in the mail, Mr. Betters.
Okay, I'll be looking forward to it. Thank you all. Have a great day, everybody.
Thanks, bye.
Bye-bye.